You know, when BTS performs, the whole world stops to watch. But this one performance, this was different. This wasn't just another stage in Seoul. It was something bigger, a huge cultural moment, happening on a path that was once only for kings. So, yeah, let's get into it. This is a story that's literally been 100 years in the making.
So, that's the big question, right? You've got this massive global pop group, and they're performing in front of a historic palace. Why is this a bigger deal than just, a cool concert? Well, the secret isn't just about who was on stage. It's all about where they were standing.
And when I say 100 years in the making, I'm not kidding. The actual ground they performed on, that stage, it was basically erased from history for an entire century. Its comeback is what makes this whole story possible. It really sets the scene for everything we're about to unpack.
Okay, so to really get what's happening now, we've got to rewind. We need to go back and understand what this space, the King's Road, was all about in the first place, especially this really important part called the Wool Day.
Now, when you picture a platform in front of a palace, what do you think of? Probably a king looking down on everyone, right? Projecting all that power. But the Wool Day, it was the complete opposite. It wasn't about power, it was built for connection.
And this quote just nails it. It was a place not to raise authority, but to reveal it. Think about that. It wasn't about puffing up the king's ego. It was a space for him to show up, be accountable, and actually communicate with his people.
And this isn't just theory. We have actual stories from the history books. Get this, back in 1415, there's a solar eclipse. Everyone's freaking out, right? It's a bad omen. But King Taejong doesn't hide away in the palace. No, he comes out onto the Wool Day and performs a ritual right there in front of everybody. And then, fast forward a few centuries, you have King Youngjo using it for public lectures, even serving porridge to his soldiers. It was all about being humble and connecting.
So the whole idea of the King's Road was about moving downward, not up. The king would literally step down from his palace, walk this path, and move towards the people. It's this powerful symbol of connecting with them, not just ruling over them from on high.
But then, it was gone. This incredible symbol of connection just disappeared. For a whole century, the path was broken, both literally and figuratively.
So here's what happened. Back in 1923, the Wool Day gets completely destroyed to build a tram line. I just paved right over this historic spot. And for 100 years, that memory, that connection, was just buried. Until 2023. That's when it was finally brought back to life.
100 years. Just let that sink in. An entire century to get back not just, a bunch of stones, but to recover the idea behind them, the memory of what that space meant.
So this wasn't just some architectural project. It was so much bigger. It was about bringing back this public square, this idea of communication. It's about reviving that philosophy that figures, whether they're kings or, global superstars, should be connecting with people.
Okay, so now you can see how all the pieces start to fit together. The stage has literally been rebuilt, and it's ready for a whole new kind of ceremony, one that echoes the past, but in a totally modern, really powerful way.
And the parallels here are just wow. Back then, you had a king coming down to meet his people, face to face. Now, you have an artist standing there to meet millions of fans all over the world. The language used to be about laws and rituals. Now, it's the language of music and shared experience. And the connection, it's not limited to one country anymore. It's totally global.
You see, the who and the how have totally changed, but the why, the core purpose of this place, is exactly the same. The Wool Day is still a space for a symbolic figure to connect with a huge audience. That basic structure of the meeting, it's still there.
So what's the big takeaway here? What does this all add up to? Well, when you pull all these threads together, you start to see that this performance was something way deeper than it looked on the surface.
And here it is, the main point. This wasn't just another event. It was a modern ceremony, a ritual, really, that blended history with the here and now, all for a global audience.
Think about all the ingredients. First, you've got the space itself, the restored Wool Day dripping with history. Then, the action. BTS performing Areang, this deeply traditional song. You've got the audience, who are there in person and watching all around the world. And what do you get when you mix it all together? You get this incredible moment where Korean heritage connects with the hearts of people everywhere.
And I think this one quote just sums it all up perfectly. This time, song walks the path,
not power. The King's Road is back, but it's not a king with the burden of a nation walking it. It's a song, it's culture, it's connection.
Which leaves us with this one last thing to think about. What happens when a nation's most meaningful heritage isn't just for that nation anymore? What does it really mean when a path built for a king becomes a stage for the entire world?
재미있게 보셨다면 구독, 좋아요, 알림 설정까지 꼭 눌러주세요.